I think we
Hmm.
are live now. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? I think production, we need to send Wayman the link. Um we need to send Wayman over the link. He just asked me that.
I can resend it to him now. We're live now. I'll go ahead and mute. You go ahead and talk to the audience while I get him
Yeah,
connected.
we want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. We this has been a journey in terms of this whole COVID pandemic and over the past this is the 10th part 10 of a series that we started called COVID-19 Uncovered. And our intent was essentially to flood community with as much information as we possibly could. And so just to make sure that people had the information that would afford them to make the choice that works for them. And so that's what we did. We've had a number of speakers come on throughout this series, and I mean some dynamic speakers who will talk about. We'll do the roll call a little later. Talk about who those individuals are that participated. I think they gave us a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of expert knowledge, science-based knowledge, and and then we had a group of young adults talk about their experience, because we wanted to pull the youth voice into this as well. And I think we need to be conscious of doing that on a lot of different issues. And so we know that this pandemic has been very challenging for I would say all of us, because it's really turned not only the world as we know it upside down, right? And when I say the world, I'm talking about economic systems, I'm talking about healthcare, I'm talking about education systems. It really has turned the world upside down, and it has exposed a lot of the glaring disparities that, and I always say this, that existed long before this COVID-19 pandemic. And I often say that, we were in a pandemic way before COVID-19 hit. And what I mean by we, I mean with respect to the Black community, other communities of color, low wealth, poor white communities as well, because we were dealing with a number of disparities, and then this just really amplified, I think, and magnified. And I think what it did is not only did it amplify, because I think they for those of us who's been doing this work and kind of been in the trenches, we know the severity of these problems, but it really, I think, shed a light on these issues for many who were not paying attention. And so this has been a excited um time to be able to just share information, have opinion leaders come on, have experts come on and talk about this as well. Not only has this turned the world upside down as we know it in those systems, but it's turned, I think, each and every one of us upside down as well. Um, there's been a lot of, I think, with all of us, we've experienced, quite honestly, I think a lot of trauma on a lot of levels. And also, I think we have to pay attention to the long-term effects, and not just if you've contracted COVID, but just the long-term um, effects with respect to your mental health, our mental health. Now, this, what does it really a new normal look like for some of us, and some of the other things that, you know, behaviors, that a pandemic, unhealthy behaviors that a pandemic or this, when you are under an immense amount of stress, that 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 things like this can cause. And so we have to be conscious of that, and make sure that we actually are conscious, and we're vigilant and paying attention. uh, attention to that. So I think that's where we are. So, you know, we're excited to be able to provide this type of content, type of information, and also we're excited to have partnered with the Kent County Health Department, but more fundamentally, the County of Kent, and being able to provide this type of programming and information to community, and making sure that, again, communities of color and the Black community uh, is receiving and getting the information that is necessary for them to get, because oftentimes what will happen is that information doesn't trickle down to the Black community until the 23rd hour, and then it's oftentimes too late. I see we have our brother Wayman Britt that just joined us in the studio. Welcome, Wayman.
Hello, Clee. I'm sorry I was late getting on. I was confused about the link, but I really appreciate what you just shared. I thank you for your leadership and the fact that we could count on the NAACP to get the word out. You know, you've been relentless, and we really appreciate it, Clee. You know, having someone that we can help us to define how we can help this community. You said it. It's correct. We're the first, last hired, first fired in most cases, and we oftentimes get left out of the deal. And I appreciate the fact that you were willing to go through the hoops, the many hoops, loops that you were asked to go through to finally get there and be able to help us out with, you know, with this community piece where we want to communicate and educate and make sure that everybody knows what's happening and how do we deal with this COVID-19. So thank you.
And no, thank you, Wayman. I think also, so Wayman Britt, for those of the viewers who don't know you, before we go any further, you want to introduce yourself briefly, and then we can continue the convo.
Yeah. So my role as the Kent County Administrator, I oversee most of the operations for the county. There are 5 elected officials, and I report to the Board of Commissioners, to the community in the role of Chief Executive for the county, as County Administrator Controller. And I've been doing this now for 4 years. I've been with the county for 17. And unfortunately for me, for everybody on the call, I'll be retiring at the end of this year. But you know, the good Lord knows what He's doing. I'm leaving in good shape, health-wise and mentally. I think Clee pointed out this can become a very straining proposition for us, the political aspects of the role. But God has been good. He's favored me, and I thank you. So yeah, I'm hoping that we've set the stage for more good things to come. I believe we've set that platform for that to happen, and so I think you know, the county is going to be in good stead when I leave. So.
Yeah, I believe so too. I think in that just speaks to your efforts and your work, not only just in the role, because we have to be mindful that this county municipal business is not new to you. You were there before, when during the last administration as well, and I think did a lot of phenomenal things for the community. I think one of the things is, I think we have to also start sharing information on what the county has done for community under your leadership and prior. And so we're going to be looking at doing that and making sure people really understand not only what the county has done, but the functionality. Not saying that there is not room for improvement, because we all have that. You know, we all fall short, and so we just want to make sure we have a balance. The story that we tell is balanced and fair.
Right. Yeah.
And so
there's a big story to tell, Clee, and you know what that is. I mean, we've worked together on a number of projects, and my hope is that the community sees the county in a different light than what it used to be. The very stodgy, bureaucratic process that most people think about county government. But we want to partner with community. And I think you'll see evidence of that with some of the things that Clee's talking about. We're going to be issuing a report soon, Clee, about what the county has done. so that everybody gets to see what we did with the $114.6 million that came to this community. It'll be enlightening for people, because I don't think people realize how we took steps, and there were no meager steps. We took great steps to make sure that we provided these funds for the entire community. And I think you have endured in your term, both at Blue Cross and at NAACP. You know what it's like to be put in a position to be able to get things done and what it takes to get things done. So my hope is that people will see this, and lesson learned for everyone. When you step into these roles, recognize that you're accountable not only to the Board of Commissioners, but the community. And with that, you have to be willing to listen and to understand, as Cleese talked about. Sometimes people will complain and they will point, and then you will have to respond to that. But you still have to maintain your confidence in spite of what you hear. You have to maintain the confidence, because you're going to get it from both sides, from all sides. So my hope is that anyone who steps into this position, if they're Black, if they're an African American, they recognize that sometimes you're going to be misunderstood, sometimes you're going to be liked, disliked, but you get up each day and you work to make sure that you're doing everything you possibly can to make things better. And I got up every single day. I didn't miss a day, other than a few days off here and there through the whole COVID. Came into work every single day. So, didn't have to, but wanted to, and was there.
I just want to say, if I could jump in really quick, I want to thank you, Wayman, for your leadership as it relates to this conversation. I think what we've seen between the partnership with the county and NAACP, hopefully that can serve as a model for future partnerships to come. And it's unfortunate, I think, that it had to come to a situation like this but I think there's a positive in this that we can move forward. So thank you for your leadership.
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be, every time there's a problem or there's a complaint, we did something that is egregious and wasn't fair for people. We need to come together way before that. And I think Clee, for recognizing the fact that he had someone at the county, you had someone, Kareem, at the county that you could reach out to, and not just me, but there are other individuals. Teresa Branson, for instance, from our county health department, has been a strong partner in our community. We want to make sure that we continue to grow that type of leadership within the county. And I tell you, each day I go to work, I push, and I say we have to do a better job connecting with this community, and we have to lift all boats. So that message is there. The culture, I think, is in a much better place than it was before I took it over. And I believe that people are going to be in place when I leave. So we're looking forward to greater things yet to come. And I'll be on the outside, pushing from the outside, just like NAACP. And I do know where the things are at. See, I have a unique advantage coming out of the county.
Right. Absolutely. You do. I want to just really shout out Teresa Branson and Adam London over at the health department and their entire staff. Teresa has been out here just, on the ground, hitting the streets, making hundreds of phone calls and sending tons of emails and really making sure that the resource that's necessary is distributed equitably and fairly. And I just want to shout that sister out, and the information, the other folks on her team that she's pulled in to make sure that we have credible information, credible and reliable information as well. And one of the things I will say is that, to be honest, one of the things I wanted to talk about is vaccine and me deciding to get vaccinated, because I was totally hesitant. I actually didn't want to get vaccinated. And quite honestly, in doing these live streams, I started to become, just find more information, right? And then I had the opportunity to actually head up a work stream to develop a vaccine resource toolkit or resource guide, I'll say. And so we had to do a lot literature review and different things like that from a variety of different sources. But in spite of all of that, I was still hesitant. And
Yeah.
so what changed for me is because people are surprised that, or wow, you got the vaccine. And I said, yeah. On some levels I felt like I had no choice, because I feel like there are those of us who are doing everything that we need to do to protect, right, from this vaccine or this virus. Washing hands, staying away, social distancing, all of these other things, right? And then um, there are those who, quite honestly, just don't give a care at all. It seems like, and I think and honestly, I don't know if they necessarily don't give a care, but I think there is virus wear out, right?
Yeah.
And we all are tired, but I keep saying to folks, we gotta keep doing what we do and stay vigilant so we can get to the other side, because
Absolutely.
we will get to the other side. But if we fall back, we're going to be right where we were again. And unfortunately, when I was notified that the numbers had started to
Yeah.
increase, and it was that day that I decided to get the vaccine, the numbers were moving up in Michigan.
Yeah.
And then that I also was notified that there were two, the South African variant and the UK variant was here in Michigan. And I actually have a great friend of mine who has a friend, and their 14-year-old daughter just contracted the South African
Mm.
variant.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
and she's doing, they say she's doing fine, but she has a good immune system, young and stuff like that. But even though we've seen that not be the case for some young people who have succumbed
Yeah.
to this virus. And so I
Yeah.
decided that I needed to, and then I had, responsibility as well for my dad, who I, help care for
Mhm.
him. And at 97, I was just like, and I'm moving a little bit more.
Mhm.
And I said, I just
Yeah.
could not, I couldn't do it. I couldn't
Yeah.
do it. And also I had a number of close associates and friends that I respect,
Mhm.
um, that have a lot of inside knowledge as well. And, with the NIHs and stuff like that have taken it. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to go ahead and get this done. And I said that I wanted the Johnson and Johnson shot. I had no choice, but that's what I ended up getting,
Right. I
because
think you did the right thing, Clay. Just let me say, you did the right thing. We know the Tuskegee experiment, what that did, and the fear that is amongst most Black people. I mean, I was cautious, but I did my research and came to the conclusion it was the right thing. I waited. I did not get in front of the line, but I made sure that I understood what the consequences were. And if I could do something to step out and show the way, set an example, then others might follow. So that's what a good leader does. They do their homework. They gain the insight, scoop as best they can, and they take those risks. And I think you did the right thing. And so thank you to Cleve for stepping out, because we need more of our community believing that this is going to pass. Because I'm going to tell you what, this thing could come back if we don't all do the vaccine. And we need to do whatever we can to get as many people vaccinated as possible. We're doing 10,000 people, 12,000 people out of the Voss place downtown. And at the health department, we have clinics, and we're setting up other clinics in the community. We're working right now to do that in the urban community. We had one at New Hope. Now we're getting ready to set up another one. We need to get as many of our people vaccinated as we possibly can. We need our people alive and well. So thank you, Clee, for leading the way, man. I really, really appreciate it. We do not need any more of our people suffering, any more of our people dying. So thank you.
yeah, that's true. Kareem, you want to you want to kind of do a roll call and thank our former guests that were on here that we did. I don't know if you have that list up. But I think it is important for folks to know and to give all of those folks a shout out. And and to make sure we just run through a roll call. All of them were amazing. I want to lift up one guest in particular, who someone actually reached out to me the other day and said, you guys please have her back on," and that's Dr. Shayna Stoddard out of Rhodes College. And they said she was just so fire, and she's young. I mean, she's a PhD biochemist. um she actually has a lab in Rose College, that she is actually working on some retroviral drugs, as well, and has been, for COVID, and among other things. And so at some point we might bring her back on, to drop some more fire on the community.
No, Shane, she was amazing. I got a lot of good feedback from that episode as well. Why don't we jump into the first episode, please? And I had the pleasure of being on a call with Dr. Berthel Archie earlier today, and she's amazing on so many levels. But she was one of the doctors who were a part of episode one, as well as Dr. Ron Grifka, who provided a lot of context from a research and scientific perspective. Do you have anything, Clee? I know it's been a while, it's been 10 weeks plus, but was there anything specifically that you felt that stood out from that first session as it relates to Dr. Archie's and Dr. Griffith's comments that you want to touch on?
No, one of the things I think, people were asking the question of, and they were saying they were hesitant because they felt like these vaccines were developed so quickly. And one of the things that I think that was critical to that conversation was both Dr. Grifka and Dr. Archie said, no, these COVID viruses have been around for quite some time. So they've been studying them over a number of years. But the difference is, and Dr. Stoddard said this too when she came, she kind of reconfirmed it. These things have been around a long time. You think of SARS and MARS and all of these other things. Those are, coronaviruses. And they said, the difference is that, they threw everything in the kitchen sink at finding a vaccine. And so it was a full court press to get a vaccine and to get this under control, because you think about it, we were having tens of thousands of people, and that's what they were saying, we're dying every day, and so that's one thing that jumped out, to me. The other thing that jumped out was somebody asked the question, or Dr. Grifka mentioned on the first part one, the long-term efficacy. And he was saying, I think he was saying, the research shows 9 months, but they're not really sure. And then the one of the other things that jumped out as well, there was a question about, will there have to be another new vaccine because of all of these variants and different strands and et cetera. And Dr. Stoddard was saying that they could they'll probably develop a booster, and then to address these new strands or what have. Most importantly, what stuck out to me, I think, with the exception of the last episode, which I think was really dynamic and great too, because there were different thoughts. So we had these sisters who were on there that were really holistic practitioners, and we had two medical doctors, Dr. Abba and then Dr. Logan as well, and then a couple of other panelists that had been attacked by this virus. But one of the things that stuck out to me throughout all 10 or 9 parts was that I think the messaging was consistent, right? you know, the science, the in terms of the data, the science, the research, it was consistent. And then we even had what's the brother from Pfizer who used to work from Pfizer. We had him on. But won't you run down, Kareem, the list and do the roll call and just let the people know who we've had on.
Sure, sure. I'll go ahead and so we had Dr. Berthel Archie. Dr. Berthel Archie is with the the Black Nurses Association. She's the president of the local chapter. Go ahead, please.
Okay. I say,
Oh,
why don't you do a rundown of people who we had on?
Sure. Dr. Ron Grifka, Vanessa Green of Grahi, Dr. Kathleen Jarrett, Dr. Shayna Stoddard, and Dr. Rob Davidson. We also had Dr. Irving Vega, as well as Sergio Ciro Reyes, Ed Stanishevsky, and Dr. Sonia Hutchins from the College of Morehouse Medicine. We also had Stacy Willis Jr., Leonard Ising, Javon Field, and Veronica Lake. We had a youth panel with Carl Cox, Melmy Chowdhury, Javon Fields, Onesimus Peavy, Colin Lewis, and Dino Fanfan, which Naomi and Dino are both students who are currently studying to become a doctor. We also had.
And you might, Kareem, you somehow production. We're getting a lot of feedback in your video. Your Wi-Fi maybe keeps kind of going in and out for some reason. So
okay,
we might want to see what the cause is for that. And I was saying, Kareem, I'm sorry. I was saying, Kareem, we're getting a lot of feedback and you keep going in and out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure what the reason is for that. Keep going in and out and we're not hearing everything you say. I don't know if you need to bring the extender into your office or what, or something, or just make sure you're on the NAACP GR Wi-Fi, because you might be on the guest Wi-Fi.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
So
is it still breaking up?
Wayne, can you still hear? Or
I'm on mute right now. I can hear loud and clear.
Okay.
Clee, you were breaking up just a bit as well. So just know that. Yeah.
Okay, we'll try to continue.
Oh, okay.
We'll work it out. It might be on your end, Clee, but we'll keep it going. So the last episode was the one that President Jackson was just speaking of. We had the pleasure of having Shayola Benta, Angela Cunningham of WZZM 13, Dr. Abba Gupta Varma, and Myrick Harris, who is the owner and founder of TEM Media TV. So that was basically a slate of all of our guests. Like Clee said, each of them brought a variety of different knowledge that was extremely beneficial to the conversation. That last one, I would strongly encourage, if you did not see that, I would encourage everyone to check that episode out. It was just amazing to hear the different diverse perspectives from the holistic practitioners with having the two medical doctors on as well. Can you still hear me, Wayman? Is it still going in and out?
I hear you loud and clear. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you're doing a fine job. Yeah, I really commend you for bringing all the guests on that you've had over the last year, 6 months or 4 months, however long it's been, and really appreciate all that you've done to have people convey the importance of this work. And so thank you.
No, thank you so much, man. Thank you for your leadership. I think Clee may be having some technical issues, so we'll allow him to jump back in. But Wayman, I don't want to, take too much of your time. Looks like Clee's coming back. But if you had any closing comments, anything else you wanted to share, maybe we can give you some.
My hope is that the people continue to take this serious. Thank you so much, community, for how you've come together. Our community hasn't been impacted like other communities have, and I know it's because of the coordination, the way that we've teamed up in this community. So please continue to do that. We're a strong community. Let's stay strong. Let's continue to fight and believe in each other. I think that's really important. As we know, that together we stand, divided we fall, and the more we can do to push each other, to help each other, to listen to each other, I think the better this community is going to be. I've been here since 1978. I wasn't born here, but I've lived here for a long time, and I know the importance of community. So please continue to find work that you're doing, Kareem, and we appreciate everything that NAACP does for this community.
Thank you so much. Again, appreciate your leadership and partnership through these efforts. We got a few comments in the comment section from John Covington, who's a friend and colleague of mine. He said, "Well said, Mr. Britt." And I think everyone is appreciative of your leadership as it relates to the last year and your tenure at the county. So, President Jackson, I wanted to pass it back to you. I don't know if you had any other questions from Mr. Britt. I want to see if we can maybe give him some of his time back this evening, unless you have some other things you wanted to cover with him.
No, I think, do we have any more comments or questions?
No other questions right now. Just went over a comment from John Covington. So nothing else is right now.
Okay, no, I think we're good. We're gonna continue to do these live streams. I think, Kareem, we're thinking about, we'll probably end up, you want to talk about maybe next steps for us in terms of where we go from here, podcasts, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. So just kind of segueing into the next piece of the conversation, like President Jackson said, our original plan was to provide this as a, we didn't even anticipate that we would do 10 episodes. We just kind of started off and things really grew. So with this, we want to kind of take the momentum that we've built here. We're going to go back to the drawing board from our team. And what I'd like for you all to do is just stay tuned. We don't have an official date yet, but we are in preparation, preparing to launch the official NAACP podcast, which will be both video and audio. We're really excited. We've made some investments in tech and really excited about bringing this resource to community. So I would say stay tuned. There'll be some more announcements as it relates to that within the weeks to come, and be prepared to jump in and we'll make some calls. I'm sure some of those guests who are part of the cover you'll see again on our show as they brought a wealth of knowledge. So with that said, I think that's the perfect segue. Looks like Clee's having some more tech issues, but that's another thing that we've learned throughout the process is that, you have to be resilient. We've had a number of tech issues, but we've worked through it. Another comment from John Devon, who's been a long contributor and a member of the NAACP. She said, "Nice and congratulations on the podcast." So thank you, Chandra. We'll look forward to having you on as one of our guests when we get prepared to launch that. While we wait on Clee to jump back on, why don't we do a quick raffle or something? Can we bring on? We got a few items. We got a few viewers on here. We were thinking it might be beneficial to raffle off some NAACP merch. Wayman, do you have something you need?
Yeah, I've got to move on to my next assignment. It's calling, so I'm going to take off. Best of luck to you, Kareem. Keep up the fantastic job. Way to stay resilient. Way to stay resilient.
Thank you, Wayman. Thank you, sir. Have a great evening.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Yep. All right. So why don't we do this? As I'm communicating with our behind the scenes team, why don't we do something where, let's bring it in. Why don't we have those of you who were able to watch any of the previous episodes, we still have some merchandise left over from our 2020 Get Out the Vote campaign. I want to show you this shirt. This was some exclusive merchandise that was designed by one of our youth council members, who is also the owner of his own clothing line. Check out Finesse Culture. You'll see more from that as well. But why don't we do this? If anybody who is on, if you participated and viewed the other sessions, just comment in the comments which of the episodes was your favorite session. Maybe a nugget about, what piece of information stood out to you the most, and we will provide you with a complimentary exclusive NAACP GOTV 2020 t-shirt, as well as an exclusive pair of NAACP and Ineffable socks. So we want to do something special for our viewers. If anyone can place in the comments which of your episodes was your favorite episode, and maybe a nugget of information that stood out to you the most, and we'll provide you with a free t-shirt and a free pair of socks. Again, just comment, just put that information in the comments, and we'll connect with you with more information about that. Hey, you are back, brother.
Yeah, I'm back. So
Oh,
I just wanted to jump on just to say thank everybody, close it out. It's good. We'll bring you more things to come in the future.
Well, thank you, President Jackson, for hosting. I think you did we want to acknowledge your work through this effort, and that this was actually your idea. I want to go ahead and say when you originally presented the idea, some of us were like, is that really the direction that we want to go in? Do we really want to continue the COVID route? And ultimately, I think that was the route for us to go. So I want to appreciate your leadership, your facilitation for this. And we got a comment from John Covington. He said he liked Dr. Logan. She was one of his favorite. He said the way that she shares information. I understand what he's saying. From knowing Dr. Logan, she has a way of explaining things and making them personable to where lay people or everyday people can relate and understand. So, John, thank you for engaging. I'll go ahead and I know John personally, so I'll get your shirt and your socks, brother, and we'll connect to give you your items. Shonda, can you not hear us?
I'm going to jump off, and thanks everybody. Thanks,
Clee. Have a good one. All right. Shonda says she cannot hear us. Is anyone else having audio issues? We have another comment from Miss Rhonda Libet. She says these podcasts were so informational. They were. I think it was a wealth of information. We had to there was one of them that really stood out to me, and it was the session that I facilitated with Dr. Irving Vega and Sergio Sierra-Riez from the Urban Core Collective, and he's active in the community in a number of other areas as well. But what was really stood out to me from that session was Dr. Irving Vega was so on point with his information around the vaccinations. When we brought Dr. Irving Vega on and Sergio, this was prior to the approval of the release of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And there was a lot of conversation around, equity as it relates to certain communities getting access to the vaccines. And at that time, there was a major concern that Black and brown and underprivileged communities were not getting equal access to the Moderna and the other vaccine. And what Dr. Irving Vega predicted, and I think that the clouding or the background on this has changed since then. But what Dr. Irving predicted was that the Moderna and the more effective vaccines would be made available to white and privileged communities. And as soon as this Johnson & Johnson vaccine would be approved, that it would be the one that would be pushed to Black and brown communities, primarily because of the price of it. And literally within, I think it was less than 72 hours after that episode, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine has been approved. Now, I think a lot of that, like I said, a lot of that background has changed since then. I think a lot of people feel, and the information suggests, that all of the vaccines are pretty comparable. But it was just amazing how he literally predicted that information, and within a few days, what he said had came to life. So, Dr. Irving Vega, huge shout out to you for joining episode. I want to say that was episode 5 with Sergio. Lots of good information. Yep, that was episode 5. So we have one shirt. Why don't we should we do another raffle? And again, if you have any other questions, we didn't want this episode to be too formal. we just wanted to have kind of a final episode to kind of wrap up the previous 9 sessions. And thank you all for participating. There were some of you who joined on every week. There were some people who joined on 1 week for 5 minutes. Whatever your involvement was, we are greatly appreciative and definitely want you to stay tuned for more. We're really excited about the launch of this podcast. We are doing some branding and some behind the scenes things as well as it relates to that right now. So stay tuned. This is going to be a fun ride. And this won't be specific to just COVID. I'm sure that'll be some of the topic of conversation, as we'll probably be on the tail end of this pandemic for, some people say, for at least another year. So COVID will continue to be at least some piece of the conversation, but it won't be the focal point as this series was. The podcast will be more overall speaking to all of the 6 game changers that we focus on here at the NAACP, which for those of you who may not be aware are education, health, criminal justice, economic sustainability, and youth and political representation. So yeah, I think we are I think we're good. If anyone else doesn't have any other comments, why don't we raffle off another item? Production, throw me something, bring me some, surprise me with something good that we can raffle off. While he's doing that, I would encourage you all to follow our Facebook page, NAACPGR, if you have not already. Definitely follow our YouTube page, as that's where the majority of our content will be. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, we got an interesting gift here. So follow our YouTube page as which is NAACPGR. All of our content moving forward will be streamed from our YouTube as well as our Facebook, and they'll be there for after viewing as well. Visit our website at naacpgr.com. Yeah, let me see what else we can add as an item. Just a moment. All right, I'm back now. We were just debating over what other possible gifts. Why don't we give them? We'll give them the option. This is a big gift. All right. All right. So, if you can see within my screen, we have an Emerald Lagasse 7-in-1 Air Fryer Pro, and I will say that I own one of these personally, and this thing is amazing. If you do not own an air fryer, I strongly suggest that you get one, and now is your opportunity to do so. I think, what do you think? What's the best way to distribute this? We only have a few people on. Why don't we ask? I'm trying to think of a clever way to do this one.
I think they should share.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So just like I just said, if you can, the first person that can confirm that they have followed and subscribed to our NAACPGR YouTube, our Facebook page, as well as our Instagram page, if you can either put that in the comments, send a direct message to myself or President Jackson, the first person to subscribe to the YouTube, NAACPGR YouTube, follow our NAACPGR Facebook, and also follow the NAACPGR Instagram, then you will win your very own Emerald Lagasse Air Fryer Pro. And these things are amazing. So first person to do those 3 things, send a message to us via DM, comments, whatever's easy, and we will connect with you to get you a free Emerald Lagasse Air Fryer Pro. I didn't expect for him to bring one of those out, but that's a good gift. And as we conclude, any other comments or questions? I want to thank you, Scooby. We have a comment from Scooby Dooby, which I'm not sure if that's his real name or not, but he says, thank you for sharing all the helpful information. Thank you, Scooby, for acknowledging that. We are honored to be in a position to, and that was really our goal. I like what you just said there. This, again, as a disclaimer, our position as far as the NAACP was never one of encouraging people to get the vaccine or discourage people to get the vaccine. Our position was and often is to make sure that the community has enough information and education to make a educated decision on their own. And I think we achieved that with all the different medical professionals. We had individuals who had contracted COVID and had horrible experiences. One of our guests still was, not able to smell and taste. And one of our guests expressed some serious, mental health issues that have came about as it relates to his experience with COVID. We had people come on who were totally opposed to even entertaining the possibility of getting a vaccine. We had two amazing holistic practitioners last week who really talked about some alternative forms of medicine and how you can kind of be more proactive with your health to make it less likely for you to contract such a disease. So again, our goal was just to put all the information out there so that individuals can be equipped to make a decision that they feel is best for them. And I'm confident that we did that. So definitely go back, check out all the previous episodes. Thank you so much for Crystal Tunstall. She just said, nice gift. That's an amazing gift. Crystal, I have one. You would love one of those. I want to shout out Crystal as well. She is a professor at Grand Valley State University. She's an avid supporter of NAACP and a member of our community. But we recently hosted, she's a member of our Environmental Justice Committee here at NAACP, and we hosted part one of a separate web series, which was titled Getting the Know in the 4950s. And really what the goal was just as it sounds, was to bring people up to speed as it relates to what are some of these environmental concerns. I know you hear like a lot of people here, if you're not aware of terms like climate change and environmental justice and just transition. And to many people, those terms are foreign. So we wanted to kick off our involvement as far as the NAACP GR Environmental Justice Committee with providing some education. And Crystal was one of the panelists for part one. You can actually watch that if you go back on our videos on our YouTube or on our Facebook page. Again, that's called Getting the Know in the 4950s. And Crystal was amazing. All of the comments that she shared were extremely relevant. And that conversation as a whole was definitely one you want to watch. So if you missed that, go to our YouTube, Facebook, make sure you watch the Getting the Know in the 4950s web series. And that's going to be a quarterly web series that we'll be pushing a new episode out every few months. And I think we got a winner for the air fryer. Miss Rhonda Libet says she subscribed to Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So Rhonda, thank you for participating. What we'll do is we will connect with you. I will go ahead and message you back now with my contact, and we'll connect with you to get you your free air fryer. And with that said, I think what we can do, unless anyone else has any other comments, I think we can go ahead and wrap it up for now. I want to close with saying thank you all of the participants from today, all the participants from the previous 9 episodes, everyone who has in some way played a role or participated in this. Thank you so much. We could not have done this without you. I want to encourage you all to stay tuned. Make sure that you keep your Facebook open, keep your Instagram open, as we will be announcing the official launch of the NAACP GR podcast here in the near future. I'm really excited. This is something that's been in the works for some time, And we feel like this is going to be one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable, resource to our community here locally and abroad. Thank you all for participating. Thank you to everyone who commented and participated today. Rhonda, thank you so much. We're going to get with you, give you your free air fryer. You're getting shout outs from Commissioner Sunita Lanier says, yay, Rhonda Libet, congrats. Scooby Dooby gives a shout out as well. We have a comment from Crystal Tunstall. She says, adding more vegetables to your diet will help build your immunity against any illness. I like how you brought that full circle, Crystal, by encompassing the two worlds. So thank you everyone again for participating. And please feel free to reach out to us if you have anything that you would like for us to help support. Even outside of the COVID conversations, we're intentional about collaborating with others in the community. So please reach out if there's anything that we can do to help support to move the mission forward of the NAACP and help transform our community. So with that said, I will go ahead and close tonight. Shout out to everyone. Thanks for everyone participating. Congratulations to Rhonda for winning her free Emerald Lagasse air fryer. Also, congratulations to John Covington. He got a free t-shirt and some exclusive socks. I'll be connecting with you soon, brother. And everyone, we will go ahead and close out a little early tonight and give you your evenings back. So again, I am Kareem Scales with the Greater Grand Rapids NAACP, and stay tuned for more information, and have a good night.